is the Spotlight. Welcome to the January 2014 edition of the Spotlight. We have an exciting show planned for you. And we thank you all for tuning in the past three seasons with us. And we hope that we continue to bring you great programming of the arts here in St. Lucie County. Before we meet our awesome guest for this morning, we just want to take a minute to remind you of all the wonderful Martin Luther King activities that are going on during the course of this week. And this is also Random Acts of Kindness Week. So we urge each of you to go out and do a random act of kindness. And we hope to see you all at the Martin Luther King Commemorative Parade on January the 20th at 9 o'clock. This is the 30th year, and we're looking for great community support there. But speaking of music, art, dance, and drama, the arts here in St. Lucie County, we are pleased to welcome acclaimed drama director, educator, Mr. Patrick Madden from Port St. Lucie High School for an in-depth conversation about theater arts here in St. Lucie County. Mr. Madden, once again, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Perry. Thanks for having me.
It is indeed a pleasure to have you to the show. You come and support the Spotlight every year. You bring awesome students to us. But just in case there's somebody watching that does not know the acclaimed, honorable, iconic Patrick Madden, would you please introduce yourself
Some
to
new
our
adjectives today, Mr. Perry.
Please introduce yourself to our guest.
My name is Patrick Madden. I'm the drama director at Port St. Lucie High School, and I've been there since the high school opened 25 years ago this year.
Mr. Madden, your job as director and educator entails a lot. And I separate the director and the educator because it's really twofold. They merge into one. But tell our viewing audience a little bit about those two roles and how they merge into one.
Well, the kids that are in the shows for me aren't necessarily, they're not rehearsing the show during class time. I have probably 100 students in my classes that are not involved in the plays. But that's a full-time job during the day, and this doing the shows at night is definitely a full-time job. I mean, we rehearse 4 hours a night, 3 or 4 hours a night, 4 nights a week. And next week it will get even longer, and then when we open. So these are 2 really difficult weeks, the most difficult really of the year for me.
So one part entails being the teacher about everything in the theater, from stage left to stage right to upstage to backstage to characterization to makeup, and the other part is putting all of those things that we've talked about together and producing a show. Would I be correct?
That's right. That's
Great.
Right.
Now, we know what the statistics say and what data and research tells us about those students that participate in the arts. What is your maddenism about students that participate in the arts and how it benefits them?
Well, it improves their public speaking, their reading, they're taking charge of any activity, being in charge. I always tell parents of students, get them involved in an activity. It's going to keep them out of trouble. It's going to give them a focus. It gives them a reason to come to school. It gives them a reason to excel in their grades. Being athletics or the arts, any school activity that they're involved in, I think is definitely a benefit to the student.
Now, not only are you the teacher and director, but you also have a wonderful class that takes some of the students that are in your program and they go out to other schools.
They
help
do.
Others. Tell us a little bit
And that's
about
one
that.
of the things I'm most proud of. We started a program when I started to teach drama, again, 25 years ago. Then we started that program 2 or 3 years into Port St. Lucie High School opening. My students go out and teach at elementary and middle schools, and they teach basic drama exercises, the parts of the stage, upstage, downstage, like you said. And we've gotten some great relationships with schools. We work with Mariposa Elementary, Savannah Ridge, St. Lucie West K-8, and we go and the high school students mentor the elementary or middle school students. And at Savannah Ridge, we're working with the 4th graders, and we're going to be presenting a big show with the 4th graders here at the end of the third 9 weeks. And at Mariposa, we do a show that we've done now for 15, 16 years, started by Betty Lacayo, a 5th grade teacher there, and it's carried on with Mr. Logue. He's been great. But we do a big Broadway extravaganza with the 5th graders over there. And what's really nice about it is my kids now we're mentoring the younger kids, and then of course they come up and they get involved in the program, and it's a win-win situation.
It's really great to introduce younger students to the theater, and because we think it's a wonderful place to live at an early age so that they develop that appreciation.
Right.
Now, Mr. Madden, I know you're an artist in your own right, and you've also not only taught, but you've been in shows. What was your favorite or your fondest memory about being in a show?
I would say the best memories of being in the show are being part of the team and the people that you meet. And that's what I tell the students on the last day of the play at Port St. Lucie High School. Look at these people. Look to your left and right, because this same group of people, you may do a lot more shows. But you'll never be with this exact group of people ever again, and enjoy it. And enjoy being part of a team. I don't care if you're the lead or a chorus or ensemble member. You are all integral into the show running on track. Being in the pit orchestra, working on the crew. And that team comes together, and sometimes it works great, and sometimes it just works.
Yeah, that's another wonderful thing about being in the arts. It's the teamwork, the collaboration, and we know that all corporations are looking for people that have those kinds of ideas as a part of their makeup. Let's hasten along. Tell our viewing audience what number show at Port St. Lucie High School this is.
This is our 37th show at Port St. Lucie High School.
In how many years?
In 25 years. Those are the high school shows. I also am in charge, which is an outreaching, which I started with you, Mr. Perry, as you know, the St. Lucie County School Board Summer Musical, and those shows have really become an integral part of my program, too. So we have 37 Port St. Lucie High School shows, and this will be our 18th annual summer musical coming up this summer, and we're doing Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella.
Okay, tell us what this show is that's going to open in 2 weeks.
One of our biggest ever, our big 25th anniversary spectacular, MAME. And what's really exciting is, as we do every 5 or 10 years, we bring back some alumni to co-star. Again, they're not starring in the show because I don't want to take away from the kids that I have presently in my program, but they supplement the program. We have alumni coming back in the orchestra and in the show, and cast of 50 plus, and I'm really excited for your audience to get out to see MAME.
How do you go about choosing the show, two-parter, and most of our viewing audience, I'm hoping, has seen the show. Just in case you haven't, you need to make sure that you go out to Port St. Lucie High School to see one of the shows. They rival Broadway productions. But how do you keep such a level, part two, of excellence in your shows?
The first part of the question, how do we pick the show? Well, this show, I knew I needed a show with a lot of parts. Mm-hmm. And I know that I have a lot of strong females this year. Mm-hmm. So I wanted a show that really showcased the females. There's a lot of good parts for guys, but this show really has some strong feature roles for women. And I wanted a show that would appeal to the audience. And MAME is a show that's really not done very often because it's very expensive to produce. It spans 20 years. The costume budget alone is huge. And for that reason, I thought it would be fun to do something that people haven't seen in a while around here.
And the level of excellence?
The level of excellence would be, truthfully, Mr. Perry, that we work really, really hard. Yes, I enjoy publicity and promotion, and which is, again, I have to get people in the seats to see the kids. That's our biggest selling point. If you come to Port St. Lucie High School, you're going to come back. But people, sometimes they have a notion of what a high school show should be. But the bottom line with how our shows work is hard work. That's how they get so professional. And I surround myself with really good teachers and staff members, the best in the area.
So again, it's a team effort.
It's a team. I'm the captain of the ship, and that's what I say. And sometimes I get all the credit. And when there's problems, I get all the blame.
Of course you do.
But the people around me are the best people.
Now, we talked about you being an actor. We talked about you being a director and an educator. But as a music, as an arts advocate, what would you say to a parent to entice that parent to ensure that their student participated in the arts?
I would have them see something that we do first, because I think that's the biggest selling point. When schools come and see our shows and the students work with the other students, some people naturally are drawn to the entertainment world. They like TV, they like singing, they like dancing. But to entice them, I would have them see something that we've done. I think that that's probably the biggest selling point.
Now, again, we know it's Maine. Tell us the show dates and where we can get tickets, please.
Okay. We open on January 30th, and we run through February 9th for 10 big shows. You can get tickets at Jay's Fine Jewelry in St. Lucie West, Perkins on US 1 in Port St. Lucie, Joy's Ice Cream in Fort Pierce, Honey Baked Ham in Stuart, and the Tin Fish Port St. Lucie Boulevard.
Okay. We thank you for joining us to talk again about the 25th anniversary show at Port St. Lucie High School, celebrating.
And you know,
25
Mr.
years.
Perry, well, I don't want to eat up all your time, but one of the reasons we're so successful is you've been an integral part of our program too.
Thank you.
And
Thank you much.
you know, we started the summer musicals together, and that program's taken off. And just another factor in program of excellence at Port St. Lucie High School. And I'd like to say thank you to you.
Well, we thank you, and we thank the wonderful students, because we know you brought some students along.
We did. Let's meet them.
Great. Let's bring those students in. Ladies and gentlemen, again, let's thank Mr. Patrick Madden for joining us here on the Spotlight, and we're hoping that you will go out starting on January the 30th to see one of the fantastic shows of their 25th year celebration, Maine. Thank you again.
Where's that boy with the bugle? My little love, who was always my big romance. Where's that boy with the bugle? And why did I ever buy him those darn long pants? Did he need a stronger hand? Did he need a lighter touch? Was I soft or was I tough? Did I give enough? Did I give too much? At the moment when he needed me, did I ever turn away? Would I be there when he called if he walked into my life today? Were his days a little dull? Were his nights a little wild? Did I overstate my plan? Did I stress the man and forget the child? And there must have been a million things that my heart forgot to say. Would I think of one or two if he walked into my life today? Should I blame the times I pampered him, or blame the times I bossed him? What a shame, I never really found the boy before I lost him. Were the years a little fast? Was his world a little free? Was there too much of a crowd, all too lush and loud, and not enough of me? Though I'll ask myself my whole life long, what went wrong along the way? Would I make the same mistakes if he walked into my life today? If that boy with the bugle walked into my life today?
Welcome back to the second part of our main show with Port St. Lucie High School that will be premiering on January the 30th. We are pleased to have with us four of the fantastic students that will play leads in MAME, and we're hoping that each of you will go out and see them. Let's have them introduce themselves to us. Katie, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Katie. I am a junior at Port St. Lucie High School, and this is my 16th show.
And what role do you play?
I play MAME.
Welcome, welcome. Enzo?
My name is Enzo Everett. I'm also a junior at Port St. Lucie High School. This is my 4th show I've been in with Mr. Madden.
Great. Kira?
I'm Kira Henderson. I'm also a junior. This is my 11th show at Port St. Lucie High School, and I'm playing Agnes Gooch.
Okay, and Christy?
I am a senior at Port St. Lucie High School, and this is my 4th show, and my first part, actually. And I play Vera Charles.
Welcome, each of you, to the show. And I know some of your old hats at it, so we're just going to have a great conversation as we continue to enlighten our audience about the arts, why they are important, and why you choose to be in the arts. So you told us that you have multiple years, multiple shows in doing the arts, in doing theater at Port St. Lucie High School. Why do you keep coming back? Because I know it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I started in 3rd grade, and I heard about it through my friend who I went to school with, and she said, hey, I know you like to sing, maybe you should try these shows. And I didn't really think much of it. I was like, oh, maybe it'd just be something to do for fun. And the first show I did, I noticed that it was really, everybody there was very professional, and we put on really good shows, and so I decided to stick with it, and I kind of found what type of actress I want to be doing these shows, and I found my voice, and now I'm able to play parts like MAME and be able to go out on stage and actually know that I'm going to do a good job with the help of Mr. Madden.
Great. Anybody else?
I only started my freshman year. This is only my 4th show, but I was more of an athletic type of person. This is kind of just like a silly thing, I always kind of thought. And Mr. Madden, I was in his class because I just took it with some friends, and he was like, why don't you try out for the summer show? And he kind of came after me, and for whatever reason, he thought I was decent, I guess. And he was just like, give it a try. And so I tried out for Hairspray, and I made it, and I was really surprised I made it, so were my parents. And since then, I've gotten a little bit better. I've gotten smaller parts, and I don't know if he likes me, but he definitely thinks I've been doing better.
Good.
So this is my first lead, so I'm excited.
Kira?
I started in 3rd grade, and at first I was really shy, but then I decided to try out for Madden's show. I didn't make the first 2 that I tried out for, but I kept going, and I tried out again. I finally made it, and it really helps to boost your confidence level, and you get comfortable speaking in front of people and performing in front of others. So,
When you didn't make the first 2 shows, what made you come back?
you want to be on that stage along with everybody. There's a thrill that you learn that you get from being on stage and just performing in front of others, and it's incredible.
I know that you guys take a big trip in December. Did any of you go on the trip?
All 3 of us went, not her, but
I didn't go
all 3 of
this
us
year.
went, yeah.
Chrissy didn't go this year. Who wants to tell us about the big trip and this
You wanna
year?
go, Chris?
Well, we saw 10 Broadway shows, and it's always running. We're always running around all day. And it was just always so fun because aside from the shows, we would go out and have some great lunches and dinners. We'd go bowling, and we all would just like come together and have a great time. And we'd all sit together for the shows. We'd have great seats, and we'd see new shows like Matilda and Cinderella and Kinky Boots, which we saw, which was very good. And it was just cool to be able to spend time with all my friends for a week up in New York City.
Here's a question for you, Christy. Since you went on the trip this year, out of the 10 shows, what was your favorite and why?
I really liked Matilda just because of the kids and the energy that it brought. And we saw one of our dance directors, or choreographers, Thane Jasperson. We took a class with him in a workshop, and we saw him last year in Newsies, and he came back and taught us this time. So it was cool to see him and knew who he was. And the kids were just fantastic. It was a really energetic show.
Katie, what was your favorite this year?
My favorite, we saw Motown. I think that was my favorite because it was actually telling the story of how Motown actually came together, and seeing these people play such iconic people like Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson and all of them. It was just so cool to see how they did it, and it was an amazing story. And I enjoyed the music, which I grew up listening to that because my mom is a big Motown fan. So it was really cool to see all that come together.
Enzo, what was your favorite this year?
My favorite probably must have been Motown. Katie and I were sitting together during that show, and we were just jamming out the whole show. I love that type of music, and I love all the different characters that were portrayed as well.
Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I've been begging Mr. Madden to let me go with you guys to the show on the trip, but he never lets me go. So I went this summer and I saw Kinky Boots and I saw Motown too. Two fabulous shows. Yeah. Now, you guys have been theater buffs probably almost as long as I have. No, not really. But almost. You love it as much as I do.
Yeah.
You've seen many shows because not only do you go to New York, you also go down to the Kravitz Center and do some other things. So you've seen a lot of things. Out of all the shows that you have seen, what is your favorite show and why?
Okay, I'll start. My favorite show of all times is Les Mis.
Great show.
First time I ever heard the music, my mom was 9 months pregnant with me, and she went to go see it on Broadway, and she said the entire time I was kicking in her belly, and that's how she knew I was going to be a Broadway kid. So, but ever since then I've seen at least 5 times, I think, on stage. So, but it's such a good show, and it goes through the French Revolution, and seeing all these characters, they all have different stories, and they're all so touching, and it goes through, because they were all poor back then, so it's a very heartfelt show, and the music is amazing.
Great. Enzo?
Motown might just be my favorite, but I think besides that, I was counting my playbills the other day with Mr. Madden. I've only started seeing shows the past couple of years. I counted just about almost 30 playbills, so I've seen quite a few shows. But last year when we saw Memphis, that's probably one of my favorite shows about a recording artist in Memphis that first started putting African American music on the charts and stuff like that, and that's got to be. I love the music in that, and I love the story behind it.
Was that on your New York trip?
No, we actually saw that as our trip last year.
Yeah.
Down.
I think it was at the Kravitz.
You know, Mr. Madden won't let me go to New York with you guys, so I went to New York 2 summers ago, and I saw that. Mr. Madden's a wonderful guy. He really is. Katie, I'm sorry, Kier.
One of my favorite shows is Bonnie and Clyde. We actually saw it on the New York trip.
Great show.
I think 2 years ago. It was amazing. The music was incredible. It's off Broadway now, but I think it should still be there. The way they captured the historical event that happened, it was great.
Okay, Christy?
My favorite was probably one of the first ones I saw, Billy Elliot, because I love people dancing, and I love everyone getting together and rioting and going crazy, and it's so crazy to see such younger kids being able to dance better than I do because I have 2 left feet. But it's crazy to see how much experience these kids have, and I love it so much. It's just one of my favorite shows.
A couple of more questions for you guys. What's your most memorable performance on stage, or your most memorable role?
Well, aside from Mame, which is probably my favorite role that I've ever played, my favorite part that I've played in the past was Paulette in Legally Blonde. It was just she's such a funny character, and being able to tap into my character side, it was cool, and I got to do a Boston accent, which I'm not Boston at all, but and I had crazy hair, and I got to wear all these weird outfits that none of them matched, and it was just, and the vocals in that show, that was probably one of the most vocally challenging roles I've ever played, and it really pushed me as a singer in that show, so I think that was probably one of my most memorable roles.
Enzo?
I'm really stoked to come out and try to see what I can do in this show. This will probably be one of my favorites, but before this, Mr. Madden has this thing. I don't have a very deep voice, but in every role or every line I've ever had for him, including this one, I have this deep, or this, so I have more of a southern drawl. So when I was Kyle as a UPS guy, that has to be probably my favorite role, but I had this big, kind of ominous, really deep voice, and I love doing it every night because it helped me kind of step out of Enzo and into Kyle. It was a funny transition. It was awesome.
Kier?
Fiona was my biggest role, but my favorite role was probably Penny in Hairspray. She was just so fun to play. She's so funny. It's just interesting, and I love hearing the audience laugh at me, so that's great.
Okay, Christy?
Well, I'm probably just going to go with my part currently, Vera, because she's a real person, and you can connect to her as a real person instead of just a goofy character who you have to make up a storyline for. But with Vera, I can be oh, well, she would do something like this, and she would act like this, and she would walk and stand like this.
Well, you know, I've seen you guys in all of those roles, and I really enjoyed you. Now, I just need two of you to briefly, because time is running short, I told you we'll really get past this. If you had to say something to a parent, to entice that parent to make sure that their child participated in the arts, what would you say? Who wants to jump in?
Well, my brother did it, and he always got in trouble at school. Not in big, serious trouble, but when he started the shows, and he actually started with Madden when I was really, really little. But my brother was always into theater, and he loved it so much, and it always kept him occupied. And he told me, too, he was like, well, the shows are really great, and maybe you can do them. So I said, well, maybe it would take up a lot of my time, and I know that I would be focused on something positive.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think the shows definitely teach you responsibility, which I still need a lot, because before the shows even happened, even when I was younger in the shows, I was just, my parents, you can ask them, I was not getting good grades in school, and all this stuff happened, and being in the shows really, Madden teaches you responsibility, and you have to learn how to grow up faster because you're around all of these kids. So that definitely teaches you responsibility, it teaches you maturity, and you really age faster.
Katie, Enzo, Kira, Christy, thank you for joining us on the January edition of the Spotlight. It's been a pleasure having you. And we want to invite all of our viewing audience to make sure you get your ticket to go see one of the 10 performances of Maine, starting on January 30th and running through February the 9th. Joy's Ice Cream, Jay's Fine Jewelry, Honey Baked Ham, 10 Fish in Port St. Lucie, and Perkins in Port St. Lucie. We hope that you join us as we watch these wonderful students rival Broadway right here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, St. Lucie County School System for Maine. Thank you again for joining us on this edition of The Spotlight, where we turn the spotlight on the arts.